In today's episode, we are going to talk about sales because selling workshop is part of your job. The next amazing workshop you are going to facilitate will only happen after selling it. So let me share with you the 5 most common mistakes I see facilitators do when they are trying to sell their workshops. Welcome to another day, another workshop. My name is Mehdi, I'm your host. I'm a workshop facilitator and designer. I've been doing it for the last 5 years. And before becoming a facilitator, I used to work in sales. So I've done the hardcore sales part, like cold calling, sending emails, sending those bottles to the sea and hoping that they will be opened. And I've done it and it was really hard, but actually I built the skills that is so important as a facilitator, as an entrepreneur, because no matter what you do, you will need to sell your stuff. Either it's a product, either it's a service. So I really want to help you into this episode to learn how to do it so that you can build a sustainable business in facilitation. So the first thing is why facilitation is so hard to sell, why workshops are hard, difficult, tricky to sell. The reason is simple. It's the nature of workshops. Workshops are a process. They are a method, the way to getting somewhere. So it's really hard for prospects to understand how workshops are actually solving one of their pain points. Because at the end of the day, selling will only happen if the prospect can see that his need, his problems, his goals could be filled, solved by the thing that you are selling him. And this is what is hard with workshops. It's because it's a method, because it's a capabilities. The possibilities are limited. You can do so many different things. And when you do that, you will have a sequence of small obstacles that you need to overcome. And the first one starts simply by making sure that your prospect knows what is a workshop. Because workshops are used in so many different ways, and most of the time not in the right way, most of people don't know what is a workshop. They don't. They think it's a long meeting. They think it's a long session, open discussion. Sometimes it's like a kind of a presentation. Like the word is used in so many ways, but not the correct one. So this is the first challenge that you will encounter, is that the people that you're trying to sell to first don't really understand what it is. What you need to understand is in the sale process, you will need the prospect to listen to you, right? The way our brain works is that he will only do effort if he understands that what you're offering is actually valuable for him. You need to answer very quickly what's in it for me. And also the brain is lazy. So the more information, the more complex the information, the less likelihood that the person is going to listen to you, because it's about burning too much calories to understand what you are saying. You need to pay attention to that, because most of the time we throw complex words, we explain workshops in a way that is very difficult to understand. You're going to lose the client right away. So pay attention to that. So the first obstacle is like actually making sure that people understand what is a workshop about. Then if they do understand, they need to make the connection with one of their problem and how facilitation actually solves it. If they are convinced about the approach, they need to trust that you are the right person to deliver the workshop. And those are just the obstacles linked to workshopping. Then you have the classical obstacles that you have in a sales collaboration, any collaboration. Making sure that the price fits their budget, the timing possibilities, can we make it happen within the time frame that the client have in mind, finding availabilities, etc., etc. And all of that taking the assumption that the challenge identified by the client is actually a right challenge, which, let's be honest, is not often the case. Okay, so this is why workshopping and workshops are hard to sell in the first place. Don't worry, of course, there are a set of tactics that you could use to navigate with that challenge. But what I want to do now is share with you 5 common mistakes that I see and some tactics to actually solve those mistakes. The number one is nobody cares about workshops except you. Listen, I get it. We are facilitators. We love what we do. Actually, I really love what I do. I love helping people. I can talk about workshops every day, which is what I'm doing in this podcast, right? But what is important is that, again, workshops is a solution, is what you're selling. But we shouldn't talk about us, but we should more talk about the prospect. But what we are doing is like, hey, look, my workshop is amazing. Look at this product. It's going to change your life. We're going to do this and we're going to do that. And you're going to see it's amazing. No, 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 no. The discussions start with the client and like understanding what are the challenges of the client. So it's not about pushing a solution. It's first discussing what are the problems that your prospect is going through, asking the good question. And lucky for you, you're a facilitator, so asking question is something that you do, that you're able to do, and you will be able to demonstrate your capabilities as a facilitator. But more importantly, it will allow you to build trust and to show the potential of the partnership that you can build by the quality of your question. So first focus on understanding what the client is going through, what are the challenges, what prevents them from sleeping, how can you make their life easier, if they can change one thing with a magic wand, what would it be? You want to ask all those questions so that you fully understand what do they need, what do they struggle with, and then you can propose a solution. And it doesn't have to be in the first discussion right away. It can be like you did just a thing and you see how you can help them. And it shouldn't be about like pushing no matter what your solution. Sometimes workshops are not the right fit to the challenge your client is having. And I think it builds really strong trust and intimacy with a client if you say, listen, what you need is that you're struggling with this, and I think you should work on that, but I cannot help you with that. I think this like shows expertise. This show that you're a real partner because you made the diagnosis and summarizing all the things. It makes it clearer in the mind of the prospect, but in the same time, again, they see you as a partner, and maybe next time when they have a need, they will go to you because you were behaving this way. So don't rush into solution. Don't try to make your workshop fit no matter what. No, listen to them, ask them good question, and you will score points. But how can we do, Mehdi, to avoid this problem? I think there are two tactics. The first one, and it's actually what I suggest to everyone, is to pick a niche, right? So decide which type of audience, which type of problems you want to focus on. It will make your life easier. And this is coming from someone who don't want to niche, and I'm taking the bet because I'm building a brand, and I'm thinking that by building such a strong brand, I won't need to niche, and we will find out together. Because what I love in workshop actually is to move from different topics and discussing so many different challenges. I love that part. But let's see if I change my mind after struggling too much. But what is really nice when you niche is that you're going to focus, for example, on a specific problem or a specific audience, and you're going to get a clear understanding of what are the most common mistakes, issues, challenges with that audience. What are the impact of those challenges? And then you will be able to understand this audience way better, meaning that you can define a product, an offer that is really solving perfectly the issues that you identified. And it will be so much easier to explain how you are dealing with the problem because first you understand the problem better and you've worked on this problem a lot of time. And there are so many good benefits of niching. Actually, you will have a stronger positioning. You will be perceived not only as a facilitator but also an expert on, I don't know, on marketing, on customer acquisition, on sales, on design. So this is actually very good. And I know it can be like, oh, I don't want to choose, I don't want to take a niche. Start with niching, and then you will be able to extend your niche. I said that I decided not to niche, but the difference also is that the clients I work with know me from my design job. So they know me as a design thinking guy, as a UX designer. So I've worked a lot with those clients on, I don't know, building a product strategy, launching a new service, and those type of things. But when you work with those people, they understand what actually is a facilitator, how you can help them. And then we will start reaching out to you. Hey, Mary, we are planning to do this team day. We want to reorganize the way the team is structured. Can you help us with that? They won't be sure because again they have this perception that they need experts for anything. But because they've seen how you tackle a specific problem, maybe you can use the same way of doing it, but for another topic. And this is how actually I started facilitating things that were outside of my, let's say, initial comfort zone. And I loved it. Take the example of Amazon. They started by selling books. Today they are selling everything. At some point when you will be stronger on the market, you will be able to extend your niche. So niching, great way of selling, of course, because then it's almost like you can make the connection between the need of the client. There's problems with your product easily. It's no more a capability. The second one is packaging your workshops. So this is a great tactic that can be used by generalists or by even people niching. Is basically I'm going to transform my service that is facilitation into a product. For example, if you're running strategy workshops or strategy planning session, you can do OKR workshops. You can do team retreats. You can do new budgets plan workshop. Let me take an example. Like if you look at the design sprint, the Google methodology invented by Jake Knapp, this is a great example of workshop that has been productized. So basically, the package of the workshop is you're having a big problem. There may be a lot of risks, or it may impact like a lot of financial resources. Have a design sprint where we'll come up with ideas, materialize those ideas into a prototype, and test it with real users. And basically, what he was doing is not something new. He was thinking a couple of things of design thinking, of design process, but the way he packaged it makes it so clear because then the client knows, oh, I have a big innovation project that I want to launch. The design sprint is perfect for that, and it can make the link. All right, and you can do the same. And what is great with packaging is first, like you make it easier for your client, but then you can reach out to them multiple times a year. You've done a great workshop for a client. Sometimes at some point, it's like, oh, what can I sell to him? I don't know anymore. And there is nothing to follow up. But maybe in 3 months, I can push him a team retreat. For example, myself, I know that May to September, there are great periods to host team retreats. So I'm just going to propose a team retreat. And I say, hey, listen, 2025 is a tough year. You may probably be behind your targets. Let's take a break from the operation with your team and focus on building a plan that will allow you to get back on track. It will re-energize your team, but at the same time, it will give you a concrete plan to follow, to execute, to actually getting there. Would it not sound nice? So this is the kind of things you could do to reach out to your client is packaging a workshop. And I'm doing this with OKR workshops, team retreats, design sprints, innovation workshops, etc., etc. So the second challenge is posting on LinkedIn today won't bring you clients tomorrow. I think this one is eye-opening maybe for you, but I see so many facilitators, especially the moment they leave their full-time job and they start posting on LinkedIn sometimes once a day, which is great, right? But it won't bring you clients. Like building a brand on LinkedIn or any other social media takes time. It takes time. I mean, like the stronger brands, they didn't succeed to be there in a blink. It took time. The problem when you try to sell through those social media without having an audience is that you're gonna have this image of, oh, this guy is always selling his shit, is promoting his stuff, there is no value, so people are not going to follow you. If you want to build a strong brand, and Alex Hormozy says that in his book, you want to give, then ask. The ratio should be like a lot of times you give, and then once in a while you ask. And me, for example, I didn't sell anything on my LinkedIn for I think 2 or 3 years. And when I started to have an audience, I was like, you know what? Let me sell a training on facilitation, for example. I know I have this training because I've been posting consistently and built an audience, attracted a lot of my peers. People want to facilitate better workshops. So naturally they ask me like, can you help us? And then I saw the opportunity and then I jumped on it. But if each time, especially if I were starting and just posting about my program, I know this guy is only salesy content. I don't want to follow this guy. Okay? So building a brand, it's on LinkedIn, on Instagram, or social media, it's a long game plan. And I believe the best way to build a brand through content is actually YouTube. This is why I'm starting. I'm starting a bit, I know, late, but because you can find back the content that you're searching. Like YouTube is a search engine that is used by a lot of people, so it's going to have a lot of impact. Like when you post on LinkedIn, for example, it's only going to be for 24 hours. And then people are not going to see it again. So it's a lot of effort. But again, when it comes to branding, you want or content creation, you want to find something that feels nice and natural to you. And there are so many ways to use LinkedIn even if you don't have an audience. Let me give an example. Like, for example, I have this from my friend Nati. Nati, she's so like she wanted to work with a company, and one of her ideal clients, so target audience, was having a podcast. And they gave a podcast on a specific topic, and Nati engaged with him through the podcast. She commented the post. She told about like her insight about the episodes. Then she made a LinkedIn post about the episode and tagging the person. And a couple of days later, weeks later, she actually worked with the person in question. So like you can identify opportunities on LinkedIn without having an audience, just by commenting, exchanging, being genuine about those things, and business will follow. Okay. Another thing you can do is like, oh, I've seen that this company or that someone is like, oh, we've been working with this facilitator. This is what we are able to do. Okay, now I know that this company has facilitators. How can I maybe put my feet into that company? The third challenge that I see is that people only sell when they have no project. So I know I get it. We're excited about workshop. We're excited about designing them, delivering them, and even going further. But what happens is that it's already too late because starting the sales machine takes time. You know, I need to get back into contacting people, following up on stuff. I mean, even if you're good at it, it will take you between 4 to 6 weeks to start again and landing a sales from scratch. This is why I see selling like sport. Like you won't get healthy by training once in a while. You will get healthy if you train consistently every day, ideally, or at least a couple of times a week. So this is why in my agenda I have time slots where I will do sales activities. And sales activities could be just I'm just gonna send 5 message today, but it's 5 message. I'm doing it. You know, I'm doing it even if I have a workshop to design, a workshop to plan, or a workshop to summarize. This is what you want to do. You want to be consistent. Okay. Selling is part of our job. Every great workshop starts from there. And what I also want to share is that what is hard with workshops is building a sustainable pipeline. Okay. You need to sell a lot of workshops. What is great is that you can charge a lot of money for those workshops. So you don't need to sell a lot of them. But in my opinion, even with premium price, you need to sell between 2 to 3 workshops a month. Imagine you need to have a machine to be able to do that. You need to have enough leads going into your funnel so that you can land as many sales as you need to be happy and having the means to your hand. Okay. And the tactic to that, and I'm sorry because you're not going to like this, is this outreach. You want to send message to people. And there are two kinds of outreach. There is the cold outreach, like when you don't know the person, and the warm outreach. And what I'm going to give you as a tip is that you want to make your homework. Remember, first impression last. This is why when you're sending a message, you want the message to be about the prospect. So I usually start by saying something positive about the prospect. And let me give an example of a call outreach. So there is this company, they are doing amazing innovation stuff, and I wanted to work with that company, right? So I see on LinkedIn that they are looking for an innovation manager. Awesome. They are looking for an innovation manager. Now I have something to talk about. So in this job description, there's an email address of the hiring manager, my potential prospect. So I send an email to the prospect and I introduce myself. And I say, I've seen on LinkedIn that you are looking for an innovation coach. This is awesome. This shows the level of maturity that you have in innovation. And this is the like you see, it was a smart way to give a compliment to the client so that there is more chances the client engage with me. And then because this company is already working with such amazing brands and so many partners, it's really hard for me to get a foot in the door. I decided to propose something free to him. So I told him like, hey, instead of having a first sales meeting where we show you the amazing references we have, why not actually running a workshop and working on one of your challenge? You will see our job, our skills into action, but more importantly, we will work in one of your challenge. And at the end of the session, you will get a plan, like the issues that you have, the one prioritized, the solution that we will find, the next steps, and who is doing what. So the owners of the next steps, and we will document all of that for you. And then if you want to work with us, awesome. If you don't, it's fine, but at least you made some progress. You didn't lose time. It's really hard to say no to something like that. It's really hard. And this is the type of effort you want to do in your cold outreach and warm outreach. So make your homework. So maybe in the beginning you won't be able to send, I don't know, 50 messages per week, but a couple of them well prepared will make the trick. So stop waiting, start hunting. Opportunities are not going to fall from the sky. Even if you are starting to build a big brand, word of mouth is not consistent. You cannot rely on it. You need to find a proper way to get leads, okay? The fourth one is not taking advantage from networking. When I say networking, it's not necessarily going to those big events and like saying hi to people and introducing yourself. Of course, those are great to get business opportunities, but it's just like you have a network today. You know some people. How can those people know you? Your friend may be in a company that you want to work for. Maybe he can give you a contact. Maybe he can introduce you to someone. People love to help. You only have to ask. If you don't ask, you will always get no's. If you ask, there may be chances that you get a yes, and that at the end you get to work with this client. Okay? So leverage your network. This is a huge opportunity. And this is why you want to invest time in building real relationship. If someone reach out to LinkedIn, take the time to answer, to have a chat. Sometimes I receive chats now that I'm not interested anymore. Like for example, I have opportunities for to give a talk about design management. Again, I have such a limited time. I don't want to give those talk anymore. I just want to focus on facilitation. But still, I took the time to have the call with the person. We had a good discussion. Thanks to her, I'm maybe going to facilitate workshop for the company she's working for. So take the time to build real, genuine relationship. It will always pay off. At the end of the day, if you want collaboration to be effective, you want to build trust, and trust start by connection. Obvious, but not very always used. Okay, the last one is that I want to share. Of course, there are many one. Otherwise, this podcast is going to be 10 hours long. But not taking advantage of the after workshop. So people think that you sell only before the session. No, you actually sell multiple time during the entire engagement with the client. But the after workshop is such an important moment to sell. First, you engage with the client. You know what are their challenges. You help them through the workshops. So you could see what are the next possibilities. And there are so many ways to leverage post workshops to generate leads. The first one is you want to go the extra mile, okay? Especially during the first collaboration. So personally, I don't count my hours. I work way more than I've foreseen with first client. Why? Because I want a client to see that he can rely on me, that I'm going further than what they ask me. So for example, I was working with this company. We were workshopping on their new ways of working and how they're going to structure the team and their new rituals. We designed the process of how they're going to tackle new ideas and implement those new ideas into their product. I created a Trello board, so a tool to map the process. Of course, I always summarize what happened during the session. I want to make it easier for them to put into action because, after workshop, it's a really difficult moment because people will go back to their life. They will go back with like full emails, new issues, operational problems. So they will lose track of what happened during the session. But you want to be the facilitator that is helping them execute things so that the workshop was meaningful and that they didn't lose time. And you want to make it easier for them, and because you want the things to happen. So this is why I made this tool. So I made this tool so that they only had to use the Trello board to execute the new process. So I made it easier. Did it ask me to do that? No. Did it create value for the client? It did. And this is how you start being no more a vendor or a supplier, but a partner. What I also do is I've been working with this client. I've seen things. I've seen some dynamics. I've seen some problems. So I'm building this partnership and this relationship with the decider, so the person that hired me to do the job. And when I feel it, I may like, hey, I've noticed this. I think it would be interesting that I share my thoughts on this, and like I will give them recommendation based on what I see. I'm not always doing that because, of course, you know my point of view on advice and recommendation. But sometimes it will feel right with some of the people, and those things makes you be perceived as again a partner, strategic partner, and it helped me so much in my career. Not only when I was a facilitator, I gained trust because I was going the extra mile, providing stuff that won't give me anything back. You know, if I give them recommendation on how to improve, I don't know, or reduce their time to market, was it for me nothing? What does it cost me? Also nothing, just a bit of time. But for the client, it's huge. The guy is going the extra mile to make me happy, to help me. He really wants to help me. Then it feels like genuine. He's not just selling his stuff. No, he wants me to succeed. He wants me to do better. So this is why I treat every workshop closing as the start of a new conversation. And then also, you want to be more proactive, right? So when I always debrief with the decider, and guess what? Spoiler, this is the moment where I will sell my stuff. I will tell him, like, okay, this is what happened. This is what I suggest that you should do. These are the next steps. And then I would say, like, listen, I've seen this and that. Maybe we can work on this together. Okay. And this is where I'm planting the ideas that collaboration can go further. Okay. I already thought about, like, okay, if we do that, how much time it would take, how much money would it cost? Because you don't want to be, and I did this mistake, right? You don't want to be like, we could do that. And then the client say, interesting. What will it require? Let me come back to you. You maybe lost your shot. So be prepared for those discussions so that you give every information to the prospect to make a informed decision and actually to take advantage of the momentum, because the client is super happy. He delivered an amazing work. He's like seeing him reaching his goal. This is a great moment to sell the other stuff. What I also do sometimes is like, again, it's not a one-shot client. What is really hard in sales is converting someone you don't know to an actual customer. But then you want to leverage this customer and do more work with them. And what I do is like, I've seen this great article. I'm going to send it to my customer. Maybe it could be interesting for you. I worked with a sustainability team, and I've seen a super interesting sustainable report on a new trend in the field. I've sent it to him. Again, it shows that you care. There is no link with any workshop you're going to facilitate, but it strengthens the relationship, the trust. Then they also, because I'm working with corporates, those guys knows other people in their organization. So I will ask for, do you know anyone who would be interested in a similar service? And then you say, yes, maybe my colleague. And then maybe you can ask him to introduce you. And then you come with something I've worked with your colleague. He told me that I should reach out. Maybe you can go lunch, all the three of you guys, or four of us, I don't know. But this will make your life easier. And people love to have someone that already works with the organization, because it's easier for invoicing. It's easier for like making sure that you're legit, that you're able to do the job. So I would really advise that. And what you can also do is ask for feedback, get testimonials. Testimonials are a great piece of sales to promote your stuff. So ask for testimonials. All right, guys. So I hope I convinced you about the importance of taking advantage of those opportunities, like the after workshop, but all the networking. Don't do those mistakes. Try to do sales every day on a recurrent basis. It will help you build a more sustainable business. And remember, if you want to be a great facilitator, you need to be great at selling them. All right. And to sell great workshops, you need to be great at facilitation. So work on your selling skills. Sell those workshops. You will get better opportunities, better workshops to facilitate. and you will build a sustainable business. All right, this was Mehdi. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and we see each other very soon for our next one. Bye bye.